Pretend it is Monday at noon, and you do a select statement from your customer table, and you see you have two customers, Mattress King and Kusharama with a K. Now, is it guaranteed that that data will never change? Or maybe on Tuesday, you land a brand new account called Fluffin' Stuff from Bedford. Let's run that. And now, when you run this exact same query, you see you have 3 records. So if the boss comes up to you and says, "Can you run a query of exactly what the sales.customer table looked like at noon?" That's what a database snapshot can do. It's like taking a picture of your database, all the data as it was at that point in time. Then you can start adding data, and then you can compare your real-time data with the point-in-time snapshot that you took. That's what this lab is all about. Before you can create a snapshot of your database, you need to know the name of the database and where all of its data is stored. In other words, you need to be familiar with where the MDF and any of the NDFs are stored. Well, let's look at the database we want to take a snapshot of, Radisco, and let's get the properties of Radisco, and let's look at where its MDF file is and what it's called. The name of the MDF file is Radisco, so it's not Radisco data, it's just Radisco, which is the exact same name as the database. Now, that's not always the case, so it's good to note the name of the database as well as the name of the file that holds all of the data for the database. With that in mind, let's state that the creation of a snapshot database is almost identical to that of the creation of a regular database. At least it starts out the same. Create database and the database name. And we'll call it Radisco_Monday_noon. Now, if we just ran this, it would create an empty database with that name, not actually a snapshot, which appears here. Well, we don't want an empty database. We want a database that is a snapshot of the Radisco database. So let's delete this and put a little more verbiage in here to get the job done. We're going to say on, and in the on, you need to specify the name of the MDF file you are copying. Down here, you're going to say this is as a snapshot of Radisco. In here, what you need to do is you need to say the name equals to, and do you remember the name of the MDF file? Sometimes it might be called Radisco data, and sometimes it's just named after the database. In this case, Radisco. So we'll say Radisco, put a comma, and where are we going to store our new database, our new MDF file? Well, snapshots don't use MDF files. They use snapshot files. So it would look like this. We're going to say file name is equal to C:\SQL, and we'll call it Radisco snapshot Monday noon.ss. Let's run this. It says command completed successfully. There is now under the database snapshot folder a Radisco Monday noon. Let's open up a new query window. Change it to the Radisco Monday noon and go select star from sales.customer. And that's identical to the data that we see in the Radisco.sales.customer. These two are exactly the same at this point. Well, the snapshot is not going to change no matter what data comes in later. But the database is designed to change. So let's make a change to the Radisco sales customer table by editing one of the records. Let's change Kusharama to a C. Kusharama, no K in it. And let's capitalize the R. Kusharama, and capitalize the A. Couple minor changes, but changes nonetheless. Let's close out of here, run both queries. You'll notice that this reflects the current state of the Radisco database, And this result set reflects the snapshot at the time we took it. So how do we find the differences between what has happened since the snapshot and what has happened now? Well, let's alias this as snapshot, and let's do an inner join on this one as source on snap.customerID equals src.customerID. Run it. And we can see a join. Now, how do we find out the records that differ? Well, let's just say the snapshots customer name is not equal to the sources customer name. And run it. And we get the only single change. Lab 2.2, Skill Check 1. Create a database snapshot from the DB Basics database called dbbasics_Monday_noon. When you're done, your screen should resemble the figure you see here. Skill Check 2. Change the last name of employee 106 from Davies to San Juan. Run a query to show all the changes from the source database employee table and the snapshot database employee table. Use the snapshot you created in the first skill check. That'll wrap up Lab 2.2 on database snapshots. Next item, Lab 2.3, setting database options.